Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Strat-O-Matic Baseball 1986 MLB replay. This is week 15 of the season from July 14th through July 20th. So let's just get us a little caught up on what's going on heading into this week. Our American League division leaders are the Toronto Blue Jays at 48-20. They are a game and a half up in the East. In the Central, the Detroit Tigers are 50-39. They are up by 4 games. Out West, the California Angels are 58-30, and they are up by 9.5 games. Over in the National League, in the East, we got the Montreal Expos are 50-35, and they are up by a game. In the Central, the Chicago Cubs are 43-44, and they lead the division by 2 games. And out West, the Los Angeles Dodgers are 53-36, and they lead by 2.5 games. So let's head into some transactions and some trades. We got a whole bunch here, and couple things going on during this All-Star week. We have some Major League Baseball players that got released from some teams, and they've decided to kind of hang it up. So some of the stuff here, we got Jim Lenton. He was signed by the Detroit Tigers. Steve Lake was released by the Cubs. Gorman Thomas was signed by the Milwaukee Brewers. Barry Burnell decided to retire after 10 years after being released from Seattle. Cesar Cedeno, he decides that he's going to retire after 17 years after not being signed after being released by the Dodgers. Al Collins, he's another guy who was retired after 13 years after being released from the Seattle Mariners. Rick Langford, he's going to retire after 11 years after being released from the Oakland Athletics. Rick Peters, he's also going to retire after 5 years being released from the Athletics. Jason Thompson, he's going to retire after 11 years. He got released by the Montreal Expos. And Milton Wilcox, starting pitcher from the Seattle Mariners, he decides to hang it up after 16 years. So everything from the 14th to the 17th actually happened during the season in 1986. As of July 20th, all that stuff is things that I've been doing, trades, reversing some trades, and it's starting back here with Dave Collins and Dave Berkman. They're going back to the Tigers. Nick Asaski's going back to the Reds. Mickey Telton's going back to the A's. Chris Spire and Brian Dayette are back to the Cubs. Joel McKeon and Dave Schmidt are going back to the White Sox. Jay Baller and Dave Gumpert are going back to the Cubs. George Kendricks is going back to the Angels, and Manny Trio is going back to the Cubs. So that's what's going on during this past week. So we go through our days. Since this is a 3-day All-Star, Monday, July 14th, it was just a day off for the All-Star game. Tuesday, July 15th, 1986, the American League wins over the National League 3-0. And a quick little blurb, I'm going to go in a little bit more detail later on in this presentation. But Kansas City second baseman Frank White goes 2 for 3 with 1 home run and 3 RBIs, leading him to the All-Star Game MVP. And American League wins over the National League in the new format of a 12-inning game. Wednesday, July 16th is the final day, the day of rest before kicking off the second half of the Major League season. So we're going to head into July 17th, the first set of games back after the All-Star break, and we'll start it up. Minnesota Twins at the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore center fielder Fred Lynn goes 3 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBIs in a 6-4 beating of the Twins. Toronto Blue Jays at the California Angels. Toronto center fielder Lloyd Mosby's 2-run home run clubs the Angels 3-1. The San Francisco Giants at the Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs left fielder Davey Lopes' 2-run home run slays the Giants in a 5-1 victory. Philadelphia Phillies at the Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati's closer John Franco blows the game in the ninth, and the Phillies prevail 6-5 over the Reds. Texas Rangers at the Detroit Tigers. Detroit starting pitcher Jack Morris 4 hits the Rangers in a shutout 3-0. New York Mets at the Houston Astros. Houston starting pitcher Mark Knudsen is masterful against the Mets in a 1-0 victory. Cleveland Indians at the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City starting pitcher Mark Gubicza allows 1 until his injury in the 7th. Royals win 3-1. Atlanta Braves at the Montreal Expos. Braves comeback falls flat in the 9th. Expos hold off 8-6. Chicago White Sox at the New York Yankees. New York Yankees starting pitcher Dennis Rasmussen picks up his 14th win of the season with a 3-2 victory. The San Diego Padres at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates' 7-run sixth rally squashes the Padres 9-8. Boston Red Sox at the Seattle Mariners. The Red Sox come up short again in the loss 4-3. And the final game of the day, Los Angeles Dodgers at the St. Louis Cardinals. Costly errors in the 7th hurt the Cardinals in their 4-3 loss to the Dodgers. Now heading into Friday, July 18th, we got the Twins at the Orioles. Twins left fielder Otis Nixon's bases-loaded triple puts the Twins over the O's 6-4. Blue Jays at the Angels. Toronto explodes in the extras with 5 runs to take down the Angels bullpen 8-3 in 10. Giants at the Cubs. San Francisco starting pitcher Steve Carlton throws a complete game shutout in a 7-0 victory. Phillies at the Reds. Phillies right fielder Glenn Wilson goes 5 for 5 with 1 home run and 3 RBIs in the victory. 13-4. Texas Rangers at the Detroit Tigers. Tigers win shootout in extras 10-8 in 10. Mets at Astros. Astros left fielder Jose Cruz slams El Cid with 5 RBIs in the victory 8-2. Indians at the Royals. Cleveland's bullpen holds Kansas City in check after starting pitcher Phil Niekro's injury in the first. Indians win 6-3. Braves at Expos. Atlanta's starting pitcher Rick Mahler shuts down the Expos in the win 3-0. White Sox at Yankees. White Sox right fielder Harold Baines' 3-run homer helps the White Sox win 4-1. Brewers at the Athletics. Oakland starting pitcher Dave Stewart 2 hits the Brewers in the win 2-0. San Diego Padres at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh's left fielder R.J. Reynolds has a walk-off single in the extras. Pirates win 7-6 in 13. Red Sox at Mariners. Red Sox starting pitcher Roger Clemens K's 10 in the 4-3 victory. And the last game of the day, Dodgers at Cardinals. LA's right fielder Mike Marshall's 2-run double in the 10th saves the victory for LA 6-5 in 10. Heading into Saturday, July 19th, we got the Twins at the Orioles. And we got Baltimore shortstop Cal Ripken goes 2 for 3 with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs. Blue Jays at the Angels. Angels right fielder Reggie Jackson slam wins it for the Angels over the Blue Jays 8-5. Giants at Cubs. San Francisco squeaks past the Cubs even with the 10-run third inning. Giants win 12-11. Phillies at the Reds. Philadelphia's first baseman Von Hayes goes 3 for 5 with 1 grand slam and 5 RBIs. Rangers at Tigers. Detroit shortstop Alan Trammell's 2-run walk-off home run in extras helps the Tigers in a 9-7 victory in 11. Mets at Astros. Astros first baseman Glenn Davis's 2-run homer sinks the Mets 3-2. Indians at Royals. Indians destroys the Kansas City bullpen after starting pitcher Charlie Lebrandt's injury. Indians win big 13-4. Braves at Expos. Braves rally falls flat in the ninth. In loss, Expos win 8-7. White Sox at Yankees. White Sox catcher Carlton Fisk's double with the bases loaded carries the load and the White Sox over the Yankees 6-4. Milwaukee Brewers at the Oakland Athletics. Milwaukee's starting pitcher Ted Higuera throws a complete game shutout in Milwaukee's 7-0 victory. San Diego Padres at the Pittsburgh Pirates. San Diego's third baseman Craig Nettles' 2-run home run in the 10th sinks the Pirates 5-3 in extras. Red Sox at Mariners. Seattle's relief pitcher Mark Huseman's pass ball in the 9th dooms the M's in the loss. Red Sox squeak by 3-2. And the final game of the day, the Dodgers at the Cardinals. Dodgers starting pitcher Rick Honeycutt is hurt in the win versus the Cards 5-2. And in the final day of the week, Sunday, July 20th, Twins at Orioles. Baltimore's backup catcher John Stefanos' 3-run home run late deflates the Twins 6-1. Blue Jays at the Angels. Blue Jays starting pitcher John Cerruti throws a complete game shutout 9-0. Giants at Cubs. Cubs newly acquired left fielder Brian Dayette comes through with a 2-run homer late. Cubs win 4-3. Phillies at the Reds. Cincinnati roughs up Philadelphia starting pitcher Charles Hudson for 12 runs in a 14-4 victory. Rangers at Tigers. Tigers maul the Rangers in a blowout, big 17-8. Mets at Astros. Mets backup catcher Ed Hearns single-handedly wins the game with 3 RBIs. Mets win 4-3. Indians at Royals. Kansas City starting pitcher Danny Jackson gives up 1 run over 7 innings to set up the win 4-2. Braves at Expos. Braves collapse in the 7th, allowing Expos to claim the lead and win 4-3. White Sox at Yankees. Yankees left fielder Claudell Washington's RBI single in the 8th leads the Yankees over the White Sox 5-4. And in a doubleheader between Milwaukee Brewers and the Oakland Athletics, Game 1, Oakland starting pitcher Jose Rios gives up 1 earned run in a complete game. Oakland wins 7-5. In Game 2 of the doubleheader, Milwaukee can't overcome a 4-run fourth by the A's in the sweep of the doubleheader. A's win 5-4. San Diego Padres at the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh's 7-run fourth propels them to lead and victory 9-3. Red Sox at Mariners. The M's washed the Red Sox in a blowout 8-2. In the final game of the week and of the day, Los Angeles Dodgers at the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis's catcher Mike Heath walk-off double in extras is enough for the 6-5 victory in 10 innings. And that is the week of games. Now let's head on to the Week 15 summary. With only 4 games played for the week, the top teams for the week are Detroit Tigers went 4-0, Philadelphia Phillies went 3-1, Pittsburgh Pirates went 3-1, Houston Astros went 3-1, Oakland Athletics went 3-1, and for the not top teams, Texas Rangers went 0-4, Cincinnati Reds went 1-3, California Angels went 1-3, New York Mets went 1-3, the Minnesota Twins went 1-3. So as for the American League standings, as of July 20th, we got the Blue Jays in first by a game and a half, 51-43 record. Tigers are 54-39. They're up about 6. California Angels are 59-33, and they're up 10.5 games. Since we are now past the All-Star game, we are then this season, since we're going to use the wild card as our playoffs for this year or going forward, the American League wild card standings as of July 20th are as follows. There's a tie up at top. We got the Texas Rangers at 49-44, and the Baltimore Orioles at 48-43. Both of those guys are tied for the top spot of the wild card for the American League, followed by the A's, the Royals, Yankees, Twins, Red Sox, Indians, Mariners, White Sox, and the Brewers. So as you can see there, it's pretty much within 4 games, we had 2, 4, 6, 8 teams fighting for that last spot. So that's what it looks like in the American League for their wild card starting the second half. The American League power rankings at the end of this week, we got the Angels are first, Tigers second, Blue Jays third, Rangers fourth, Orioles fifth, Athletics sixth, Royals 7, Yankees are 8th, Twins are 9th, Red Sox are 10th, Indians are 11th, Mariners are 12th, White Sox are 13th, and the Milwaukee Brewers are the 14th. So let's head over to the National League. The National League as of July 20th. In the East, we got the Montreal Expos are 53-36. They're up by 3 games. The Chicago Cubs are 45-46, and they're up by 3 games. The Los Angeles Dodgers are 56-37, and they're up by 2.5 games in the West. Now, we're going to head over to the National League wild card standings as of the 20th. And based off of the stipulation for the All-Star game, with the American League winning, they win home field advantage for the World Series. And the losing team, being the National League, get to pick up additional wild card spots for a more team playoff. So the standings based off of that, we got the Astros at 53-39, Mets at 51-40, and the Pittsburgh Pirates at 50-41. All 3 of those teams would be in the playoffs if it's ended today. So, and then below that, you got the Phillies are 5 behind, Reds are 8, Braves are 8.5, Giants 9.5, Padres 12, Cardinals 18.5. So those are your wild card leaders. All the Phillies, Reds, Braves, Giants, Padres, and Cardinals are trying to track down the Pirates, since the Astros and Mets have at least a game or better for their position. So heading into the National League Power Rankings as of the 20th, we got the Dodgers are 1, Expos 2, Astros 3, Mets 4, Pirates 5, Phillies 6, Cubs 7, Reds 8, Braves 9, Giants 10th, Padres 11th, and Cardinals are 12th. So let's head over to the American League team batting stats as of the 20th. And overall, the Toronto Blue Jays have taken over the lead in most categories here, with the Indians having a .282 batting average. And we got Toronto Blue Jays have 926 hits as a team. And we got the Blue Jays and the Orioles tied with RBIs at 444. And then we got the Red Sox at 199 doubles, Rangers at 39 RBIs, the Tigers at 138 home runs. And then we got the Orioles get hit by the pitch the most with 37. The Red Sox strike out the least, 478 as a team. And then we got the Angels have the most steals as a team, 124. Tigers have the most attempts at 151, with the Angels having the best stealing base percentage at 83%. And we got the Rangers have the least amount of errors of 51, and the White Sox leave the least amount of players on base with 639. So the Blue Jays lead in 5 of those categories, which puts them in the most categories won in the American League. Going into the American League pitching stats, pretty much no-brainer. The California Angels have been dominating this pretty much all year. So the Angels pitching staff is by far superior in most of these categories. And the wins, losses, and saves. ERA 347. They have 651 strikeouts, a 127 whip, 6 shutouts, and they've only had 5 pass balls due to the good catching by Bob Boone. So there's your American League pitching staff, with the Angels being mostly yellow in all those categories. So let's head over to the National League. The National League batting. And we got, after everything's said and done, a little shake up here. Philadelphia Phillies have the most categories led here, with the Expos hitting .271 as a team. We got the Phillies had a .434 slugging percentage. The Phillies have the most runs, 441. Padres have the most hits at 872. Cubs have the most RBIs at 414. And we got the Phillies and Giants have 189 doubles between the both of them. Phillies have 38. Dodgers have the most home runs by a team by 109. And the Pirates walk the most at 322. And the Astros strike out the least, along with the Pirates at 475. And then the St. Louis Cardinals, they have 185 team stolen bases and 249 attempts for 74% stealing percentage, but that's not good enough. The Expos have 79%. And the Astros have 43 errors as a team, which is the least in the National League. And they have the least amount of players left on base at 623. So let's head over to the pitching staff. And a little bit of a shocker here. The Mets have been kind of dethroned a little bit. The Dodgers have kind of taken over with their categories. They have 56 wins. Expos have 36 losses. Dodgers have 27 saves. Mets have a .324 ERA. They've given up 727 hits, which is the least. The Dodgers have given up the least home runs at 68, and they walk the least. They allow only 219 walks as a team. Astros have the most strikeouts as a team, 669, a 121 whip, 24 complete games, 6 shutouts, and 4 pass balls. Good platoon catchers in the Astros. And then that is your National League. So let's head over to our disabled list as of the 20th. First, we're going to do the American League. Some notables there. George Bell and Rob Deere. We got Tommy John, Terry Pendleton, Rick Dempsey. We got Jim Rice, Bob James, the closer for the White Sox. And over on the National League, we got All-Star DH Ron Cey. We got Mike Diaz, Floyd Yeomans, Bill Doran, Huey Brooks, Eddie Milner, Ryan Sandberg, Sid Fernandez, leads on 7-game DL, Darryl Strawberry, and rookie Darren Dalton. So there's some of your players that are made the disabled list, and those are the days in parentheses when they will return. So we got a good return on Monday. We got about 2, 4, 6, 8 players coming back off of the DL. So let's jump over to our milestones. So the first milestone contender is Don Sutton. We've known this one for a couple weeks now. He was striving for 300 wins. He's currently at 308 wins for the season, so he hit that milestone. He was one of the first out of the 4. Next is Steve Carlton. Steve Carlton hit over 4,000 strikeouts in the prior week. He's currently sitting at 4,012. And over this past outing, he surpassed 5,000 innings pitched in a career. So he's hit the strikeout milestone of 4,000, and he has 5,000 innings pitched. So he's another guy who's made his milestone so far for the year. Next is Bert Blyleven. He's trying to get to that 3,000 strikeout plateau. After his last outing, he finished. He's currently at 2,997 strikeouts. If everything goes well in his next outing, sometime in week 16, he should get that and possibly surpass it. His last couple starts, he hasn't been striking out too many players, averaging about 5 strikeouts the last 3 outings. So a good possibility of hitting that 3,000 plateau his next outing. And last, and one of the long shots for the season to make, is Mike Schmidt. He's currently at 480 home runs, trying to make that 500 mark. He's sitting at 22 home runs in the season. He came back the day after the All-Star game and hit his 22nd home run of the year. And then the following day, he got hit by a pitch in the side, and he's out for 3 or 4 games. So he'll start his race for 500 in the second half of this season, sometime late next week. So if his first half can match his, or if his second half can match his first half, he'll end the year with 42 home runs, which will end him exactly at 500. So let's see. He's going to be more towards the end to see if he can hit his milestone. So those are the 4 guys coming in with major milestones in 86, and 2 have hit their mark. Third is going to be very soon, and Mike Schmidt, again, a little bit of a long shot of possibly making it. Not impossible, but it's going to be kind of close. So let's go to the American League stat leaders as of Sunday, July 20th. After Sunday, July 20th. And a quick overview here. We got Wally Joyner It leads the league in average with 352. Steve Balboni has 25 home runs. Bill Buckner has 72 RBIs, and Gary Pettis leads the league in stolen bases with 89. ERA leader Moose Haas is 2.01. Dennis Rasmussen, who won his 14th game this past week. Roger Clemens is sitting at 179 strikeouts after striking out 10 his last outing. And Donnie Moore secured his 30th save against the Blue Jays this week. So there's your American League leaders. So let's head over to the National League. We got Tim Raines still having a pretty decent year. He's bulking up his average a little bit more. He's hitting 340 entering today. Bob Horner and Mike Schmidt are tied at 22 home runs. Andre Dawson is 69 RBIs. And Vince Coleman is at 86 stolen bases. Mike Scott has a 1.78 ERA. Mike Scott also leads the league in wins with 15 and also in strikeouts with 186. So if the season ended today, Mike Scott would have the pitching triple crown with ERA, wins, and strikeouts. And John Franco and Ken Howell are tied with saves at 26. So let's just keep an eye out for Mike Scott to see what he could do on the pitching side. And as you can see here, Bob Horner has kind of put his name in the batting triple crown, batting .315, fifth in the league, tied for first with home runs with 22, and he's in third place with RBIs. So let's keep an eye out for Bob Horner, a potential triple crown candidate. So now we're going to review the All-Star game that I played. It was the 57th All-Star game held in the Astrodome at Houston, Texas, between the American League versus the National League. I played that game and I taped it, so it is on my channel. So if you want to catch the actual play of the game, it was very long, but I took my time and I went through it step by step. So when you see the video, it is kind of long, but you can fast forward it through. So here's going through some of the All-Star game activities prior to the All-Star game. So I was able to do an All-Star game home run derby, but I did it more like a tournament, more than what they usually do. So what I did throughout the season is we had team home run derbies between their own team players, and the winner of the team home run derby automatically became eligible for the All-Star game derby tournament. So the derby tournament has a representative from every Major League Baseball team, and we are going to look at the participants. Now I have them ranked 1st through 26th based off of how many collective home runs they hit over the rounds when they had their inter-team tournament throughout the first half. So here are our participants. We got rookie catcher Dave Valley from Seattle, Ken Phelps from the St. Louis Cardinals, rookie Mike Diaz from the Pittsburgh Pirates, Darryl Strawberry from the Mets, Pedro Guerrero from the Dodgers, Rob Deere from the Brewers, Ron Cey from the Cubs, rookie Corey Schneider from the Indians, Jim Traber from the Orioles, Dave Kingman from the A's, Jesse Barfield from the Blue Jays, Mike Pagliarulo from the Yankees, Dave Parker from the Reds, Jeffrey Leonard from the Giants, Kevin Boss from the Astros, Terry Harper from the Braves, Mike Schmidt from the Phillies, Rupert Jones from the Angels, Don Baylor from the Red Sox, rookie first baseman Andres Galarraga from the Expos, Pete O'Brien for Texas, Steve Garvey for the Padres, Ron Kittle from the White Sox, Alan Trammell from the Tigers, Gary Gaetti from the Twins, and Willie Wilson for the Royals. So there you go. There's your players. There's your teams. That's how many home runs they hit in the Derby. And 1 through 13, top to bottom, and then 14 through 26, bottom to top. So here are the brackets. And we got the left side of the bracket here. We got, since Dave Valley was your number one overall rank, he gets to bye pretty much all the way into the semi-rounds. And there is your brackets there. So we got Dave Parker beats Alan Trammell, brings him to the second round. Mike Diaz beats Jeffrey Leonard. Jesse Barfield beats Steve Garvey. Pedro Guerrero beats Terry Harper. Jim Traber beats Andres Galarraga. And Ron Say beats Rupert Jones. And then in the second round, Parker beats Diaz. Barfield beats Guerrero. Say beats Traber. And then we have the semifinals. Or going into the semifinals, we got Dave Valley against Mike Diaz. Jesse Barfield against Ron Say. And on the right-hand side of the bracket, Mike Pagliarulo advanced over Ron Kittle. Darryl Strawberry over Kevin Boss. Dave Kingman over Pete O'Brien. Rob Deere over Mike Schmidt. Corey Schneider over Don Baylor in overtime, where they had 3 additional outs added, and the most based off of that. And then Gary Gaetti beat Willie Wilson. Then in the second round, we got Darryl Strawberry beat Mike Pagliarulo. Rob Deere beat Dave Kingman. And Gary Gaetti beat Corey Schneider. And again, the second rank was Ken Phelps, so he makes it all the way to the semifinals as well. So the semifinals on this side of the bracket is you got Ken Phelps against Darryl Strawberry, Rob Deere against Gary Gaetti. So heading into the Final Four, we got Dave Valley in over Ron Say, and we got Ken Phelps over Rob Deere. So Dave Valley played Ken Phelps, and this was heated. Played actually 2 or 3 overtimes, with the overall winner of the 1986 Home Run Derby Team Contest. 1986 winner is Ken Phelps from the St. Louis Cardinals. So he hit 19 compared to Dave Valley. So there is your 1986 Home Run Derby champion, Ken Phelps. And let's head on to the 57th All-Star Game. A little bit of a review here, where we got again at the Astrodome between the American League versus the National League. And the score, if you don't remember from before, the American League 3, National League nothing. And there's your breakdown through 12 innings. We didn't play 13, we played through 12. And the American League got 3 runs off 5 hits, no errors. And the National League got 0 runs off 10 hits and 2 errors. The winning pitcher for the American League was Jack Morris. The losing pitcher was Sid Fernandez for the National League. And the All-Star Game MVP, second baseman Frank White from the Kansas City Royals. So there is your recap there. And then I have some box scores. It's a little bit tough to read, so hopefully I try to color code them to make it easier for us to read. But for the American League here, everyone played. There was your main starters in the bolded black, and then their subsequent replacements there. As we take a look at Frank White, he batted 3 times, hit into a double play, then had an RBI single, and then a 2-run home run. So he went 2 for 3 with a home run and 3 RBIs. By far the better of the American League. National League kind of pretty much held them down pretty much the whole game, as you can see here. Not much action, only allowing them 5 hits through 12 innings. National League was rolling there, but as you see, that error there that led to the 2-run homer, that was costly. So then the American League pitchers, with Roger Clemens starting the game, and then Jack Morris took over, and he gets the win. And pretty quiet. The American League held the National League down pretty good. So there's all your guys who played. Then we're going to head over to the National League. National League, we got... here we go here. They tried to get in as many guys as they could. Tim Raines, he had a fantastic game, going 3 for 4, 2 singles, a double, 2 stolen bases. Halfway through the game, he had MVP on his back. He was fantastic. But the 2-run homer and Frank White getting all the RBIs pretty much catapulted him. But definitely MVP on the National League side was Tim Raines, 3 for 4 day. And Von Hayes too, 3 for 3 with 3 singles and a stolen base. So those starters have hit the American League pitching pretty well. And then for the National League pitchers here, we got Mike Scott leading the way, and then Sid Fernandez, giving up the run, and then initially, and then Fernando Valenzuela giving up that 2-run homer to Frank White after that error, and that leads the American League over the National League in the 57th annual All-Star Game, 3-0, with Frank White being your MVP, Jack Morris being your game winner, and Sid Fernandez getting the loss. Pretty good game. Again, the stipulations of the games: the winner of the league that wins gets the home field advantage in the World Series. So that's the American League picks up that World Series advantage, and the losing league getting the additional wild card teams thrown at them, which explains for the different wild card setup for the National League compared to the American League, where the American League will have 4 teams represent the playoffs, and the National League will have 6. So let's head into our mid-season report. And our mid-season report for the American League. And this is some accolades that I went through and I would give out halfway through the season. So in the American League, my MVP through the first half is California Angels rookie first baseman Wally Joyner. Cy Young is California Angels starting pitcher John Candelaria. Rookie of the Year is California Angels first baseman Wally Joyner. The Manager of the Year is the California Angels Gene Mauch. The American League Fireman of the so far is Baltimore Orioles closer Don A's. And the best team through the first half is the California Angels. The worst team has been the Milwaukee Brewers. And the surprise team in the American League for this replay has been the Texas Rangers, even though they've fallen hard the last couple of weeks. But they have been a big surprise. And the disappointment of the first half has to be the Chicago White Sox. White Sox, who had a pretty good 85, had pretty much all their guys coming back, and they've just hit the wall. So the White Sox have been a pretty pretty disappointment for the American League. So let's head over to the National League. So my National League MVP is Montreal Expos left fielder Tim Raines. Cy Young is a no-brainer as starting pitcher for the Houston Astros, Mike Scott. Rookie of the Year. National League doesn't have too much going on, so it's like a little difficult, but definitely the rookie that's been turning a lot of heads and is actually doing pretty well with his playing time is outfielder for the San Diego Padres, John Kruk. And the manager of the year is for the Montreal Expos, Buck Rogers. And the fireman so far is the Dodgers' Ken Howell. The best team in the National League is the Los Angeles Dodgers. The worst team is National League pennant winner from last year, the St. Louis Cardinals. Surprise team for this replay has been the Pittsburgh Pirates. And the biggest disappointment so far in the National League has been the St. Louis Cardinals. A runner-up to the World Series, the current pennant holder for the National League, and they have hit a wall solid. They can't do anything. They are the worst record in the National League, and they don't even look like the team from 1985. So that is our overview for this week. We're heading into week 16, which is July 21st through July 27th. So this is what my first half of the 86 replay has been. It's definitely had some ups and downs. It's definitely a learning experience, playing in the advanced mode. And in the start of August, we're going to try that super advanced and see how that goes. But very enjoyable. I dig the game. So there you go, guys. I appreciate watching the stuff, following along. Again, if you didn't get a chance to see the All-Star game played, it's up there. It's out there on my my YouTube page. So take a look at it, fast forward it, because again, it is quite long. So there you go. So we'll see you in a month or so, or a couple weeks for week 16. So as always, guys, play ball.